Hey everyone, it's been a while. Adam Mishan here, singer, songwriter, and vocal coach. Excited to be doing another one of these live streams. I know I'm doing this totally out of nowhere, so I'm sure a lot of you are probably sleeping by now. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about vocal health. Um, I'll wait for a bunch of you to kind of hop on. And if you guys have any questions related to this or anything else, then I'd be happy to take them nearing the end. For now, let's jump right in. So, vocal health. What does it take to kind of stay healthy as a vocalist? The first thing to remember is that you are your voice. You're your own instrument. So, with a guitar, you got to take care of the guitar. You got to make sure it's in tune. You got to make sure that, the wood doesn't warp. You got to make sure that it generally stays in good condition. The same thing is true with your voice. And you guys may have heard this before, but generally we got to stay pretty healthy as singers in order to make sure that our voice stays in the best possible shape that it can be. So that includes staying really well hydrated. That's why I put in the thumbnail me drinking some water, because I try to drink about 6 bottles a day. Today I think I'm at 6 already. I think, yeah, I've done 6, so this is now going to be 7 for today. Hydration is extremely important, but for those of you who don't know, it's important to realize that hydration isn't immediate when it comes to the voice. Your vocal cords actually absorb none of the water that you drink. The only way that they absorb it is once it's gone through, because it goes down your esophagus, not your trachea. If water went down where your vocal cords are, you would drown and you would choke to death and you would die. So very thankfully, our water does not pass by our vocal cords. But at the same time, as singers, when we're trying to stay well hydrated, we actually need moisture to be in the voice box. So how does it get there? Well, once it goes through your entire system and it kind of goes to all the high priority spots in your body, it eventually reaches the voice box, which is why it's important to stay well hydrated all the time. So it's not just before a show, or it's not just at a specific time when you're about to use your voice. You should really be well hydrated, period, the end. And the one thing that would actually lead to getting moisture to your vocal cords is steaming. And I've already made a video on steaming and nebulizers. You can go check that out. Probably when I'm done doing this, I'll leave a card somewhere here. And you could check it out and kind of find out more about caring for the voice in that way. So that's number one, staying well hydrated, and also keeping an eye on the amount you use your voice. So as singers, we generally have to be very conscious of how we're using our voice. So a lot of people, will like to talk really loudly in very loud environments in between singing, and often we're using our voices for speech much more than we are for singing. Even professional singers are speaking much more than they are singing. So it's really important to be aware of how much you're using your voice, when you're using your voice, and how you are using your voice, and trying to really optimize that in any way. So do you guys have any questions so far about anything we're talking about, specifically related to the topic of vocal health? Anybody have any particular questions? Could there be subtitles in Spanish? I don't know how to do that, especially in a live chat, or sorry, live stream. I don't know how to do that. But it's great to see you guys, and I'm really hoping to do these more often. I often don't have the time. It's definitely something I want to do more for the memberships. So I don't know if you guys see, but down below at the end, like around this video, you'll see a join button. That join button is for channel memberships, where I'm going to be doing live streams every month. So if you guys are interested in joining in on that, I'd be really happy for you guys to join. All right, so back to our topic, and if you guys have any questions, again, let me know. So staying well hydrated and making sure that you're not overusing your voice. Another thing is to make sure to warm up before any heavy voice use. So I have a couple of videos online about warm-ups. I have a singing course that I have that you can go and you can learn warm-ups to be able to get your voice and kind of the fundamentals of the voice in general. And it's important to warm up, and singing is not an efficient warm-up. Why? Because when we sing, there's so much as far as emotion, vowels, pitches, consonants that we have to deal with, that's constantly moving, and there's so much going on all at once. So when we have this with singing, it's very inefficient way to warm up your voice, because you've got to focus on so many things that you're not focusing on what you're meant to be focusing on. So it's much better to warm up with exercises where you vocalize and you specifically focus on some specific part of your voice and a specific consonant or vowel combination. Oh, Mr. Zip, you just watched the 10-year transformation. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely did a lot of years of vocal warm-ups through there. So I highly recommend definitely warming up before any extensive voice use, and trying to just be wary of how you're speaking. So not trying to talk too loudly, not trying to scream or yell. Try to keep it like much more relaxed when you're speaking. Okay, so one question coming in about vocal health. What do you think about drinking herbal tea for singers? I definitely do it. Right now, a little bit of a teaser for you guys, but I'm putting together a video of my entire experience of doing an elimination diet to get rid of acid reflux. So it's something that I've been struggling with for a really long time, is, every night waking up in the morning and I've got a very hoarse voice because of really brutal acid reflux the night before. So I'm on an elimination diet where I'm eliminating almost everything except for vegetables, chicken, meat, and fish and eggs. Everything else I am basically staying away from. So that includes caffeine. Caffeine is one of the worst proponents of acid reflux contributor. So I'm staying away from caffeine. So I'm having herbal tea instead. So I highly recommend it. I think that it's really great. It's a great way to warm up the entire, area. It's not going to warm up your vocal cords, right? As we just said before, no liquid that you drink is going to touch your vocal cords directly. But being able to kind of drink a warm drink that's going to soothe your throat is definitely very good. So that is helpful. I find herbal teas to be very helpful. I've heard that honey and lemon is really good for your vocal cords. Is that true? So I think that stems from a lot of people's misconception that, drinking honey is actually going to lubricate the vocal cords. And that's not true. It can lubricate the throat, but it's not going to lubricate your vocal cords, because again, it's not touching the vocal cords directly. Honey is definitely good for you, especially raw honey. It's got a lot of health benefits. Lemon is something actually I'm staying away from because citrus is something that increases acid reflux. So if you're somebody that suffers with acid reflux, I highly recommend trying to pinpoint what your triggers are and trying to stay away from them, so that you can kind of work your way through the acid reflux. All right, Young Sleepy asks, how can I clean my throat? So if you mean like clear your throat, that's a good question, because with regards to vocal health, we don't want to be doing excessive throat clearing. So throat clearing is that type of sound. Um, Often people become chronic throat clearers. So you'll hear people who are constantly clearing their throat. And the big question to ask yourself is, after you clear your throat, is your voice quality any better than before you cleared your throat? So if it stays the same and you just constantly have to keep on clearing it, keep on clearing it, keep on clearing it, then what you're probably clearing away is actually your skin and not actually mucus. And so in that case, there's no point in clearing your throat from skin that's in your throat. You're actually just making the problem worse, because that skin is going to get more and more inflamed, more swollen, and it's going to be a bigger problem. So definitely not to clear your throat too often. And keep an eye out to see if it actually affects the quality of your voice. The next thing I would recommend is a slight light cough, like a just something like that, to clear away any mucus that might be building up. That is definitely going to be one of the healthier ways to clear the throat, because number one, coughing is an involuntary response. So it's not something that's going to, something that our body naturally does is usually not going to be something that's going to hurt us. And doing it gently like that is a good way to clear off any mucus that could be potentially building up there. Another great way to clear any mucus that might be on the cords is actually to suck in through your nose really hard and just kind of swallow. Once you do that, any mucus that was on the cord would then fall back into the esophagus, and you've now cleared your throat without actually having to use your vocal cords to clear it. So that can be definitely very helpful as well. Okay. Let's see, any other questions that you guys have? Keep the questions coming, guys, because I think that they really help me answer your specific needs. Do you have it? Excuse me. Do you have any advice on someone like me who's 15? Can I improve the quality? Sorry, this is from Alexander Maldonado. Do you have any advice on how someone like me who's 15 can improve the quality and how precise my notes come out? Yes. Definitely there's a bunch of things that you can do. I don't know where you're at as a vocalist right now, but anybody at any stage can improve pitch accuracy. One of the best ways to do it is to get very specific with your pitch. So, I use an app. Let me see. Definitely got it here. So it's called the Chromatic Tuner. It's just a really simple chromatic tuner. You can see right there. And a great way to get yourself in tune is, this is generally used as a guitar tuner, but you can use it to tune your voice. If my piano will turn on. Okay, so if I take just a random note, right? You see that tuner is obviously registering that as a G. So what I want to try to do when I'm practicing this and learning how to sing on pitch, I want to try to recreate that G. And so you see how I found it there. You want to try to slide around as much as you need to in order to find the pitch. So if you end up being like, app froze for a sec. So if we wanted to be ooh, so I'm definitely below the pitch, right? Ooh, right? So finding that pitch very lightly like that is going to be a great way to be able to access, kind of connect the vocal cords with your ear. And so I've had a lot of students who are amazing instrumentalists, and they're able to tune a guitar by ear, which I definitely can't do, yet they can't sing on pitch. So what I've noticed is that it's a breakdown in the communication between the vocal cords and your ear. So what you need to do is build that communication, and that's what this stuff does. Being able to have a visual feedback loop to tell you, are you on pitch or are you off pitch, and how to get back on pitch. All right, so let's get back to some more questions. Okay, so hey, it's Nona writes, why when I sing through, I guess throughout the day, she means, okay. Why when I sing through gets dry and hurts for the next days? My sense of what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is why when you sing through, sing from your throat. Okay, why when you sing from your throat does your voice get dry and it hurts for the next days? Okay, so your throat, yeah, this is my feel on that. Generally, if you feel like you're singing from your throat, you're probably pushing too hard. And so if you're pushing from your throat too hard, when normally what you want to do is actually displace that effort to your lower abdominals, right? You want your lower abdominals, your lower body to do the supporting of your tone, not your throat. So if your throat feels like it's getting dry and it's getting hoarse for the next couple of days, that's probably a good indication that you're singing from your throat. A good way to get away from that is to start to employ better better diaphragmatic support. So supporting the voice properly from your lower abdominals. And the way that we do that is getting the airflow and the vocal cords working together, so that you're singing as efficiently as possible with proper air pressure. And so this kind of, what I would recommend for you, because it's kind of hard to say exactly what the issue is without hearing it, but what I would recommend for you is when you have that and you feel like, oh man, I just pushed my voice a little bit too hard, this is going to be a problem for the next couple of days. I would recommend warming down. So that means that you've pushed your voice a little too hard. Now it's time to kind of take your voice to a very relaxed position. And the way to do that is with like gentle slides. So we don't want to think of going super high. We don't want to think of going super loud, but we just want to slide in all different ways. So it could be a right, just sliding down your range, or a and just letting your voice kind of relax into that, or just like a yawn is really good for the throat. It allows all the muscles to really relax and get a lot more relaxed and feel better. So I would highly recommend that after you feel like you push your voice too hard. Okay, let's see who's up next. Okay, so how long, Kevin Nava says, how long would you say a singer should practice and to avoid damaging his voice? Okay, I would recommend not practicing over a half hour at a time. I would say practice a half hour, let yourself take a break, and then go back and do some more. Whether it be vocalizing or singing, going over a half hour, unless you're doing a performance, is going to push your voice too hard. So you don't want to do that. You want to kind of take it easy, take it slow, and that way you won't lead to fatigue and potentially damage. All right, so Coconut Milky Way, interesting name. What's the best way to clear your throat? Because my runs are usually very clean, but sometimes they just sound choppy because of whatever mucus is in my throat, if that makes sense. So I don't know if you heard earlier, but I answered this question. Just quickly to reiterate, just a little cough or and swallow. That's going to be the best ways to clear out your throat. Um, Anybody else have any other questions? Let's wait to see if I have some more questions come in. I'm trying to think in general other top points that I wanted to bring out about vocal health in general. Definitely knowing that your body is your instrument is important because your diet has a huge part to play in all of this. So making sure that you don't eat like spicy foods, foods that trigger you. And everybody's triggered by something else. So try to like figure out what is triggering you if you find that that is an issue for you. Oh, sorry, I missed Eddie Macy. He writes, I have chronic sinus problems. This seems to affect my voice. Any advice to what I can do to improve this problem? What are your thoughts on using neti pots? I'm a big fan of neti pots. I have a neti pot that I use every single morning, especially when I've had a night of reflux. It gets for me all the way up into my sinuses, which is pretty brutal. So cleaning out that mucus really helps me kind of get my voice ready for potential performances that I might have. So I'm a big fan of neti pots. Awesome tool to use if you are having any sinus issues and feel like, because at the end of the day it's just saline, so you're not actually shoving a whole bunch of medication into your nose and kind of not knowing what it's going to do to your body. Okay, pick a player. Fourth time you're writing this, so I'll give you an answer. Hey, I'm 14. I have a decent voice. I would say I want to know how many years till I go pro. Oh, what a loaded question. Pro, define pro. Pro means you're making money off of your music or off of your voice. I think you could probably go pro now. Something that I've seen a lot of people do is, and something I do myself, is doing concerts in retirement homes. Generally, retirement homes are very forgiving audiences, or can be. I mean, sometimes it can be really rough as well. But it's a great place to kind of like, if you have any talent and you're saying you have a decent voice. So if you want like today to make money off of your voice, and you don't want to have to wait for going pro, then that's a great option. Going around finding if there's gigs that you can do at bars. I don't know, you play an instrument, do you have people that can play along with you, accompany you? These are all important questions if you're planning on going pro. It's so difficult to say what we don't today. You don't wait around for a big break like you used to. You can really just, post YouTube videos. You have a world stage at your fingertips right now. So start doing it now. Like I don't see why you shouldn't be able to go pro today. So any advice on writing an original song? Excuse me. Any advice on writing an original song? Writing the lyrics for it, writing the music. I personally. Oh, sorry, Edie. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I apologize for totally botching your name. Okay. Either way, so Angelina Pulls, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I totally botched that as well. Any advice on writing an original song? Yeah, so back to the original song. Um, I would highly recommend just writing. Write as many lyrics as you can. It's one of the things that being so busy as I am right now, it's hard for me to keep up with my writing of music. And you're definitely going to write a bunch of garbage, and that's fine. Sometimes you have to go through the garbage to be able to get to those gems. I highly recommend that. Um, what what about also with the music? I highly recommend just kind of listening to all different types of music. The more influences you can draw from, the better off you're going to be with regards to being able to come up with a really nice, interesting melody. All right, pick a player, no problem. I hope it was helpful. It's just the word professional or going pro is a loaded word, so it's just kind of hard to give precise advice there. Okay, so hey, it's Nona asking another good question. How to sing low notes well without falling into flat. So I find that a lot of people actually fall sharp, if you would even call that. They end up sharp on lower notes. One of the best ways to sing lower notes is to actually do the opposite of what we should do for higher notes. So for higher notes, we want to keep the larynx a little bit in a lower position, keep it in that kind of really relaxed place. With lower notes, the natural tendency of the larynx is to actually drop. So the larynx is this guy right here. This is your Adam's apple. So your Adam's apple, you want to allow it to kind of go up a little bit as you go lower. So, oh, right? So if I go, oh, and I go to there, then I totally lost the bottom end of my voice. So we want to try to find right? So we want to try to keep that more present tonality by keeping the larynx a little bit higher than we would normally when we're going into our high notes. All right. Kevin Nava asking another good question. How do you vocalize with a woman as a guy? Usually I try to match their range, but noticing that that's a big mistake. Yes, it is a mistake to try to push your voice to a place where it doesn't want to go right now. So if you're vocalizing with a female, try to go the octave below and work up through your range that way. There's no need to try to push yourself too hard and strain your vocal cords, right? It's just not necessary. You can definitely find a good amount of like benefit from vocalizing with a female going the octave below. And then if you feel like she comes back down within a range that's too low for you, then you can jump up the octave again and kind of work down with her. So I hope that helps. How do you improve your high notes without going to falsetto? Well, that would first start with being able, sorry, I didn't name out the name, Gummy Candy. I like that. Okay, ask that question. So high notes without going to falsetto. For high notes without going to falsetto, what you'd want to do is try to start really small and really quiet. A lot of people take their high notes trying to sing them really, really loud, and that's not going to be very helpful. So what I would really recommend is taking like a vowel and starting with very small increments and just sliding through those increments, like right? And so the reason why I changed that was because I realized I did a glottal shock on the first one. We want to try to avoid that. So that's why it's better to start with an M. So so I'm letting it be very, very quiet. I'm not pushing, I'm not forcing it, but I'm also not letting it be very airy. So the opposite of that, falsetto, is going to be ma, right? Too much airflow leads you to falsetto. So that's one of the best ways. Come quieter, try to work through your range that way, and find it at that lower volume. That's going to help you. All right, so Edie, I hope I'm saying your name right again. Let me go. Yeah, Edie. Okay, so I have a hard time harmonizing. I guess I just don't have the ear to hear it. Any advice on how to improve my ear, or is it a lost cause? I believe very few people are actually a lost cause. A big reason why I have this channel and why I started doing these videos is because I believe that anyone can learn to sing. And I feel, unfortunately, so many people beat down people who are naturally born singers and tell them you either have to be born with it or you don't have it. And if you're not born with it, give up. I want to make sure that nobody else feels that way and make it clear that you can definitely learn how to sing. It's not a you have it or you don't. So with ear training, it's the exact same thing. Learning harmony, I would highly recommend joining a choir, where a choir teacher will be able to show you kind of the different parts that you need to do, and learning the harmony piece as if it were a melody in and of itself is a great way to start to allow that harmony to start to become part of you. Because if you can sing a harmony piece like it is the melody, then you know that really well. And so when somebody else goes and sings the melody, it's not going to throw your ear off, because that's normally the tendency, is that singers will they'll hear a melody and then they're trying to sing the harmony, but then their harmony will always be pulled back down to that melody. So we want to try to isolate that harmony so that you have that so good in your mind that you're able to not be pulled down to that melody line. So I hope that helps. I would really really recommend joining a choir for that, or finding somebody else who sings, who might be able to sing with you, and then you learn the harmony piece as if it were the melody of the song. All right. James Caraballo. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name there. I probably am, so I apologize. Is it healthy to drink cold liquids before singing? I don't recommend drinking like ice cold liquids before singing, because it's going to like freeze up the whole area, and the muscles will kind of not be warm and ready for singing. So I really don't recommend drinking ice cold liquids. I mean, room temperature and slightly cold is fine, but not ice cold. Hope that helps. No problem, Edie. All right, so I think I'm going to answer one more question, and then we'll call it a night. It's getting past my bedtime. All right, let's see. Okay, Peach says, my nasal cycle sucks, so my one side of my nose is extremely hard to breathe with every single day with my nose, but I breathe perfectly with my mouth. Would this affect my singing a lot? Peach, it would affect your singing if you're mouth breathing while you're sleeping. Mouth breathing is really bad to do while you're sleeping. Throughout the day, we breathe alternately through our mouth and through our nose. When we're singing, generally we're breathing through our mouth. So while you're singing, it's fine to breathe through your mouth. But if that's kind of spilling over into your sleep, that's not going to be good overall. Definitely working on if it's a deviated septum, so going to your doctor and seeing if there's something that they can do for that, or potentially it could be, you know, blocked for other reasons. Get it checked out, what the issue is and how you can fix it, because if that's causing you to mouth breathe, you're actually drawing out your vocal cords. So something that I'll just note quickly here is when we breathe through our nose, it's actually a natural humidifier for our vocal cords. So we don't dry out our vocal cords when we breathe through our nose. Whereas when we breathe through our mouth, we're getting very dry air coming straight through our mouth into the vocal cords. So I'd highly recommend being able to take care of that so that you can breathe through your nose. So I hope that helped you guys. Thank you all for joining in and being a part of the vocal health discussion. And I'm really happy that all of you have chimed in and asked your questions. I hope that we can do another one of these very soon. And I'm going to be doing regular monthly live streams like this. So if you benefited from this, I really encourage you all to click the join button, get in on that, get in on membership, and we'll be able to do exclusive, very intimate live streams where you guys can ask all your questions and they'll all get answered. So I hope you guys, everyone, sweet dreams, take care, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.